this order of 500, 600.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, we do have now a residential month.
Well,
it's not my bill, but this is a residential monthly bill.
This curve just shows how the electricity tariffs for residential customers is designed in Egypt. So you can see there is a very sort of narrow line on the base which says that all of us, all 24 million residential users, part of their bill is at 2.5 pounds per month. Then when we go higher and higher in the consumption, we reach values of an average value of, for example, around 32 piastres per kilowatt hour. So we are starting at 5 piastres per kilowatt hour, and we are ending about 57 actually piastres per kilowatt hour. The people who pay 500, 600 a month, their average price per kilowatt hour is around 32 piastres per kilowatt hour, and that is just barely covering the real cost.
Wow.
The real cost. So I mean that's an important message that we all need to know. It's not cheap to get electricity. The rational use, like in our households, if we are using air conditioners or something like that, we might adjust the temperature a little bit, make sure the doors, the windows are closed, so there is no leak of the cold air out of the room. We don't leave any rooms with lights on where we are not using them. That's all. We don't open the fridge, for example, and then after opening the fridge, we think, why did I open it? What do I want to pick up?
Opening the fridge
consumes more
So
energy.
I believe that just like you have to start and calculating what you're going to be spending throughout the month and what are your debts and your credits, maybe we should start calculating how much electricity we should consume per day and how much money that would make.
Actually, this is you're absolutely right about that, because like 5 years ago,
Maybe the power cuts aren't so bad after
as
all.
Dr. Kaupp was saying, is that we were a net exporter. We were a country considered to be a net exporter. Now we are a net importer for the last 5 years. So the conditions have changed. This is a chart which another chart. It has the same sort of upstairs type thing, but it shows you that the people who are paying above the sort of above the 500 pounds are the ones which are less than 2%, and they only consume about 10% of
Not the whole world knows.
Not the whole world.
The whole world knows what I'm talking
the bulk of the people
Like,
are within less than 200 kilowatt hours, and their bill is less than 15 pounds a month.
Wow.
And they represent about 50% of the users. They represent almost 50% of the consumption in the residential sector, and they present also about close also to 50% of the revenues. But these revenues are not sufficient enough. Again, this scheme is an excellent scheme. The scheme itself is an excellent scheme, but the values in the scheme, the values of the tariffs, is not excellent. I fully agree with Dr. Kaupp that we need to send a very strong message to. We're not telling people do not use electricity. Use electricity, but if you can afford it, if you use more, pay for that. Do you agree with that or not? I don't know. I
didn't pay the bill yesterday, so I'll have to ask my father.
I'll use one example which was said yesterday in the workshop, and it was a clear thing. We have like 1,800 million families in the country. 2 million of them owns cars, but we are subsidizing the fuel. So we are subsidizing only 2 million, and the rest is suffering from that, because when you're subsidizing energy, you're really taking off from education, from health, and so on. So we need to revisit our subsidy structure, our subsidy strategy. That is something which needs to be done today, or even yesterday, not tomorrow. And we need everyone to realize that if someone can afford something, well and good. Why should he be subsidized for that? And actually, well, surprisingly enough, there was close to 100 attendees yesterday or in the workshop in the evening, and that question was raised, and he said, if you can afford it, are you willing to pay for that? And we're more or less had 100% response of yes. I'm not sure. That's not Egypt, of course, but again, it's a sample which is saying that people are willing to pay if they can afford.
And I mean, you know, removing the subsidies for those who cannot afford it is not the issue. I mean, in Germany, we also have 6 million households, multiplied by 2 or 2.5. I mean, 12 million people. They get the electricity, gas, and oil for free from the government. We subsidize it 100%.
Wow.
Therefore, we have the same problem you have. Perhaps less people. We are also a population of 80 million. Therefore, 12, 15 million get everything for free, within limits. They should not waste it. There is a cap. You know, it's only so many kilowatt hours of gas per month. But we do have the same system you have. But we are not subsidizing the rich. In fact, we take it from the rich to subsidize the poor. You know, this is, that sounds very communistic or socialistic, but this is our principle. Therefore, we do the same you do, in fact.
But here in Egypt, I don't know if you know or not, but a lot of people are living in slums, and they already build houses in illegal lands, and they steal electricity and water, and the government knows that they steal it, but they're okay with it. So here in Egypt, really, because it's very complicated, the rich don't have to help the poor, because the poor are already helping themselves by taking what they need from electricity and water. So to restructure something like that, I don't know how much time it could take.
It would take some time, but on the other hand, the electricity companies, electricity distribution companies, are dealing with that now. They were not allowed to supply electricity to illegal housing and so on. But now there is sort of a midway solution. They are metered, their electricity is metered, but under a classification saying that we're metering a place which was built illegally. So that's one part of tracking the system. But I'd like to say that your TV station and others can have a very positive role in sending the message actively, interactively on daily basis. There is a proposal of having a small signal on the TV, especially in the evenings. It's like a traffic light. Red, yellow, and green. So if it's green, use electricity as much as you like. If it's yellow, try to do something. If it's red, do something, or will face a cutoff of electricity. That does not cost technically, except like less than a few £100. That would be a real positive contribution from TV broadcasting stations. I wish if your station take an initiative in that, and then you will be really the flagship in that area, and there you will be part again of the solution. That's something I think we really. I mean, it's not the time to blame anyone now. We are facing a problem. We're facing, and that problem will take few years until we can produce more gas from our own national wells, from our oil fields. It will take 3 to 5 years in order to develop these. So meanwhile, let us do something, because this also will affect our behavior. In some time, we'll start rationalizing on water. You know, when you open the tap of water and just leaving it, it's not only losing water, it's losing also the energy to provide you with this water, the pumps and so on. So it's something which I think it's time now really to be, well, transparent. Everyone should know the situation, and that we can all work together.
Also, right now we're going through an ongoing crisis of fuel shortage. Mr. Kaupp, you mentioned earlier that years ago, Egypt used to be an exporter of oil and gas, and now we have a shortage of that. So where does the problem lie, and how can we solve the shortage of fuel in the country?
I mean, I think there was not enough investment, joint investment by big oil and gas companies and the Egyptian government to explore the new wells and get them ready to cover the annual increase in energy demand here in this country. That is the biggest problem. It's a planning thing or a reputation thing. You may have difficulties now to find international investors to drill wells in the Nile Delta to get more oil and gas for local consumption. And the danger with that is it's not only subsidies and tariffs now, it's that there's simply not enough energy, and you will go in this, what we see from, for instance, Lebanon nearby or India for 10 years now, that once rotational load shedding starts, I mean, they cut you off your electricity blockwise every day, 4, 5, 6 hours. You always will find entrepreneurs who all of a sudden come into your neighborhood and put up a generator. They will supply you with electricity for 5 times what you pay right now. And what always surprises me, and we see it now in Lebanon, people all of a sudden have the money to pay for that. Because instead of sweating it out in your home, you pay this fellow 5 times the electricity just to get electricity. And that situation is a dangerous one. You get a parallel structure of small-scale power suppliers and generators, and the government cannot stop it because, this is better than no electricity at all.
Yes. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but we did speak a lot about consumption of household electricity, but there's also consumption, of course, of the public electricity, whether they are in streets, malls, or hotels, and which do consume maybe a lot more than house consumption. I hope they pay their bills as well on time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Once again, Dr. Mohamed, Sobki, Director, Energy Research Center, Cairo University, and Dr. Albrecht Kaupp, Senior Policy Advisor at the Federal Ministry for the Environment. Thank you for joining us on the
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right now we're going to go to a really quick break with a report about the famous musician Mohamed, who has recently passed away. In this report, there was an event to commemorate him and his great work. We'll be right back.